second tide we have to think about is rising technology. This is something you're all familiar with. You've been a part of it, and you have tasted this technology as it changes all the time. But the problem is we're so much in the midst of this change that we don't realize how much it is affecting us and changing us. So again, I want to show you history. This is a 600-year acceleration in innovation, invention, and discovery. Think about this for a minute. Simple technological advancement can change everything for the future. Alexander the Great discovered something, a technological advancement, if you will, that enabled him to conquer the world seemingly overnight. That invention was the shoe, foot covering. It enabled his forces to transgress over mountains and rocks and different kinds of soil to go much faster than any opponent could, and they conquered the world seemingly overnight. Then the Romans came along, and they had a significant technological advancement that allowed them to conquer the world and rule it for 1,000 years, and that technology was the road. Now, I would imagine today you have used both of those technologies. You have been on a road and you have walked with shoes on. Those technologies last to this day. Then the printing press came along, and so here is a look at the growth of technology from the time of the printing press on, where significant breakthroughs are made that change the way we live our life. What I want you to see with this diagram is how rapidly now those world-changing technological advancements are happening on top of each other, so that in 1 year, several of them happen. It was thousands of years between the shoe and the road, and then between the road and the printing press, those were thousands of years. But suddenly now that kind of significant breakthrough is happening on a daily basis in the world. And because we are in the midst of all of this, we're flowing with the river, we don't realize how much it's affecting our lives. When my kids were little, they'd hit a growth spurt, and I wouldn't realize how much they were growing because I see them every single day. It's not that noticeable. But if you were not to see them for 6 months or a year, suddenly they would sprout up by inches, and it would be a shock to you. It's the same way with technology. Because every single day we're experiencing it, we're a part of the flow of this growth, we're not aware of how much it's impacting our lives. So here are 4 ways in which here are a few of the implications of technology affecting our lives. Total scientific output doubles every 3 to 4 years. That's significant. Language is changing at an exponential rate. We have new verbs in the English language that no one had before, and suddenly we use them throughout the day, all day long. So for instance, it's perfectly legal to Google someone, to text someone, to tweet someone, to Skype someone, to Instagram, to Snapchat, to Zoom, to hashtag, to swipe, to wiki people. These are brand new verbs, things we do to other people. We know what they mean, but your grandmother would have no idea what you were talking about if she heard you use that kind of language. Our language has changed so quickly, and we're not aware of how fast it's changing. I remember when I was in high school, I had to read Romeo and Juliet or Hamlet, and I remember reading Shakespeare, and I read in Romeo and Juliet one line where it says, "I look to like if looking liking live," and I'm thinking, I know what every word means, but I have no idea what the sentence means. Because language, it took hundreds of years, but the language had evolved and changed to a point where what was common language in Bill Shakespeare's time made no sense to me, Neil Cole's time. Well, that kind of shift is happening much faster now because of technology. Today, you can Uber to places you've never been, but you can't flash drive anywhere. You can surf the web and discover the perfect wave and never leave your basement. You can add software to your hardware and get malware from shareware in your gameware and do it all in your underwear. The world has changed language so fast. Imagine speaking to your grandmother and saying, Siri isn't speaking to me anymore because she caught me in the buffering while downloading with Alexa on my desktop in my iPad. She now freezes up every time I ask her to do something, and on top of it all, I got a virus. Now, if my grandmother heard me say that, she'd slap me because she had no idea what I was talking about. Because language has changed so much that a simple sentence or two like that, it makes no sense outside of context of this change that we are in the midst of. So the way we communicate is changing things. When I was a student in school, I had a sociology professor who told me that if you want to change a culture, you must change its language. And our culture is rapidly changing, and so is our language. Now, we have moved from the information age to the surveillance age. Things have changed so fast. Moore's law, which was, I think it was developed in the 70s or 80s. Moore's law dictates that the computer chip, the processor in your computer, will double in size and speed, and it also gets smaller and more compact, double in size and speed every 2 years, every 24 months. And that has kept pace for decades. That indicates exponential growth in change in the way we relate to one another, the way we do business, the way we communicate. And now you see people and they're constantly glued to their phones. Ray Kurzweil, who's a technological expert and who wrote a book called The Singularity, which is about a coming change, a singularity that will change everything as we know it in one moment. He talks about when he was a student at MIT, and he had a computer there as an undergraduate student that took up half a building. And the computer in your cell phone today is 1,000,000 times cheaper and 1,000 times more powerful, which is a billion-fold increase in price performance of computing since he was in school. That's the effect of Moore's law on technology. It's rapidly changing, and we're unaware of how much it is affecting our lives. Look at the way technology has changed us. We now live in a time when the leading businesses can thrive without any products or production even. Think about that. We're no longer in the industrial age. The industrial age, we produced a product and people bought that product. We still are producing products, but the major leading businesses have no product. Think about this. Uber, the world's largest taxi company, has no vehicles. Facebook, the world's most popular media owner, creates no content. Alibaba, the most valuable retailer on the planet, has no inventory. Airbnb, the world's largest accommodation provider, has no property. Things have changed, and the church needs to adapt to what's happening in the world. Now, big data, we've moved from the information age to the surveillance age. In the surveillance age, everything you do is being monitored, and big data is now a big deal. Within 5 years, there will be over 50 billion smart connected devices in this world, all made to collect, analyze, and share data. We perform 40,000 search queries every second just on Google alone, and each search is recorded and analyzed. That information is held on to, and it is not owned by you. In 2002, 23 exabytes of information was recorded and replicated in a single year. We now record and transfer that much information every single week. That's how fast things are moving. Every day, we create 2.5 quintillion bytes of data. What's a quintillion? That's a number beyond what my mind can comprehend and probably what yours can comprehend. And that amount is increasing tenfold every 2 years. So if you want to try and understand how much that actually is, this will help. 90% of all data amassed in the world today has been created in the last 2 years alone. 90% of the data we have in this planet was created in the last 2 years. That's how much information, data we are creating constantly in this world. And all of that is being hoarded by companies so they can make money off of what you do. And they are. The US Senate voted a couple years ago in the United States to make it legal for corporations to collect your data and share your web browsing history without even getting your permission. Your activity belongs to somebody else.